to the show. Welcome to the show.
All right. What's up, y'all? Here we go. The very first Dawgcast. The very first. Open the weekend for the dogs. So, what a great night. So, I want to start off. Football is back. Appreciate everybody that's joining. I see potentially Romans in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Hey, here we go. College football is back. Oh boy, had quite a few good games today. Hopefully we'll have some people jump in the show, but everybody's going to be new to this, so a little something to expect. I'm wanting to talk the Georgia game, of course, and projections for the future and what we're thinking. And just to get this clear, I'm a fan. Okay, I'm not an insider. I don't know everything. I just talk off the cuff. I'm just here to share an experience and hopefully gain a community with fun people. And hopefully let's do that. All right. So we'll do that, and we'll jump around the SEC. We'll jump around the rest of the country too. The big games of the week. Definitely do some top 10 talk. Matter of fact, let me pull up some ESPN app right quick so I can have some stats to give y'all. Excuse me. So that's the plan. You're going to have to bear with me. I'm new to this, but should be fun. So let's see. UConn is my team. UConn's your team. Has been since you were a kid. All right. Well, hey, that's good. That's a rough team to be pulling for, but hey, stick with it. You never know. Right now, Georgia's in the glory days. We're loving every bit of it and lapping it up. So here we go, man. All right. So let's get into this Georgia game. So some of y'all might have seen it. Some of y'all might not have. Number one in the country preseason ranking. Of course, it means what it means, but that's where we're at. And it was definitely a slow start. It was not quite the production that I wanted to see right out the gate. It's quite slow in the first half. Hell, we only had 17 points going into the half, and when we came out, it wasn't the quickest start. But hey, maybe we just had to knock some rust off, get the wheels turning, get it going like we wanted to. But then later in the game, it definitely got a little more exciting, a little more fun. Had a lot of big touchdowns. Of course, the first touchdown of the season has to go to Brock Bowers. Why would it not? Boy, that was good to see. Let's see. Let me throw some stats at you just because. So we ended up holding UT Martin, which, of course, if you don't know, the score ended up being 48-7. And my official prediction was 42-3. Was my official prediction, but that was made. Obviously, wasn't made on my channel, but it was on a Row 60 podcast. And if you haven't found them, go look them up. absolutely perfect weekly videos. I mean, phenomenal work. But so we ended up holding them. So they went 18 to 33 passing for 128 yards and rushing, 30 carries for 132 yards. On the other side, we went, which it wasn't the greatest performance, just over 50% completion rate. We went 26 for 40 for 400 yards, and rushing was abysmal. I'm gonna say rushing 30 attempts for 159. I definitely like to see that a little closer to 300, especially in a game against UT Martin in the Skyhawks. But so yeah, Carson Beck, he came out for us. He was announced earlier, I think 2 weeks ago, actually. He came out. He did okay. No interceptions, any quarterback. So that's definitely positive, and I appreciates that. I feel like he had a slow start, and he had quite a few inaccurate throws. What the hell that sound was? Yeah, he had a couple wild throws there, but all in all, he ended up holding it in, stayed consistent, and got the job done for us. Surprisingly enough, we saw Kendall Milton today running the rock. I did not expect to see him with injury and all, but apparently he was good enough to go, and we seen him right off the rip. So that was good. A super surprising carry was Brock Bowers. He actually took a handoff for a touchdown, which ended up being our first score, which I am not opposed to whatsoever. I was definitely on the team of let's see some rushing yards from Brock Bowers in a running back role, and right off the bat we got it. So love to see that. One fumble on the game for us, and it was Brock Bowers, crazy enough. But we recovered it, so no harm, no foul. We also got a pick six. That was great to seal the game. That seems to be a strategy of ours, apparently. Pick six to seal the game. I think we all might be able to know what I'm talking about there. But yeah, all in all, slow start, but hey, a 48-7 win. You can't be mad at that. Damio, I will figure that out. I'm trying to stay on a roll right now, but I will get after that, and I'll be handing out some wrenches here in a little bit. Big Dog. Who the hell's Big Dog? All right, so I think we covered Georgia pretty good. So with this game, in the conclusion of this game, that is going to improve our winning streak. And I have a little something for y'all, and I hope you enjoy it. Watch this. Hope y'all like that. I was excited making it. I'm not huge on editing videos, but I feel like I did all right with that. So yeah, so like the end of that said, that is an 18 game winning streak, which is a program record. Uh, the current record in all college football is 47, and that's from Oklahoma back in the 50s, and it's not out of the question, but it's a little far out to even start that countdown closely. Another record, which is pretty good, and I don't know how it fares against other schools, but for Sanford Stadium, uh, we have had 65 consecutive sellout crowds in that stadium right there. That is incredible. Even for a 6 o'clock game against UT Martin, that's impressive to me. And yeah, it's awesome. And I see my mom in the chat, so hi, mom. Uh, yeah, so that was pretty damn cool. One other stat from the game that I jotted down was we ended up, even though it definitely looked like a slow game while you were watching it, surprisingly, we had 11 explosive pass plays. Hey, when you get 11 explosive plays, throwing it down the field and stretching that thing out vertically, that's a good night. That's a damn good night. So we did good there. All right, let's see. Let's get into uh let's get into some of the big games through the SEC that happened today as well. Well, matter of fact, not just today. Let's talk about Florida and Utah. Okay. So for anybody who doesn't know, my wife is a Florida graduate. So I can't really hold that against her. And for those that don't follow football closely and that are just here as support for me because you're good friends, Georgia and Florida hate each other thoroughly. And so watching them lose to Utah in their opener is bittersweet for myself because I do love my wife, and she at least cares a little bit about about her Gators. Been rough on her the last couple of years, even though they got a win in 2020, but we won't count that because that whole year's a wash and everything involved in it. So, yeah, so they had their season opener. I'm gonna pull up some stats too while I'm talking, but they had their season opener against Utah, and I personally didn't have uh, thoughts that they were going to be good this year. All the storylines that I've heard coming out of there, and the one plus is they've had some decent news recruiting, but they haven't hit the transfer portal like they need to. But they don't. They definitely didn't seem sound defensively, so they ended up allowing. The numbers ain't that bad. They allowed Utah to pass 165 yards on them and rush for 105. But they were held. Holy cow! Okay, so Utah in the Pac-12, surprisingly enough, and there's Wade, and I know Daimio's itching because he doesn't have a wrench, but there's Wade, and he's a Colorado man. I'm gonna say this: the Pac-12 is not known for their defense, and I don't think that's a surprise to many. But whew, they held Florida to 13 yards rushing. That is embarrassing. Ugly, ugly game. But as a Georgia fan, you love to see it. You love to see it. All right, so today's games. So we started off. Uh, we had the Tennessee um, and Virginia game. Now I had that on the main screen, and I had Colorado TCU on the tablet. Um, and that game was pretty interesting in the very beginning. Uh, but even my wife said that the size difference between the offensive line of Tennessee and Virginia's defensive line was was laughable. I mean, the size difference was impressive. So Tennessee ended up showing up some defense today. Uh, we all wondered about that. Tennessee struggled on defense last year pretty significantly. We can all say that they were pretty prolific in offense. They had a couple hiccup games. You're welcome. Um, but they ended up holding Virginia to 11 of 24 passing for 106 yards, and they held Virginia to 96 yards rushing, and their longest rush was for 22 yards. That's pretty damn good. Um, that is not bad at all. Granted, that is Virginia, and it's not exactly the ACC's top tier. But for a season opener, with shaking off the rust and getting into it, that's pretty good. Uh, that's about all I got. Their offense looked pretty good. They're 23 for 33 for 212 yards passing and just shy of 300 for rushing. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. TCU and Colorado. Like I said, that was on the tablet. I didn't watch it closely. Um, I'll say it. I'm not a big Deion Sanders hype train rider, uh, but he's got them boys playing. Um, they ended up eking out the win. They were kind of going back and forth there towards the end of the game. It was tit for tat. Defense really wasn't there to be found. It was pretty back and forth, but offensively they were going after it. Of course, they were against TCU, the runner-ups from last year. Um, that Georgia bludgeoned our way to victory against in the national championship, which of course was 65-7. Yeah, so it ended up being 45-42, and Colorado eked out that win. Of course, Deion's son was at quarterback. Uh, hey, good for them. Let's see if they can keep it up. They got a couple of decent games ahead of them, but we'll see. We'll see if they hold up. They were definitely they were not favored before the game, but hey, they got it. They got the win. Uh, so the Oklahoma, or not Oklahoma, the Ohio State game. I got pretty excited there for a minute because I thought Indiana was going to give them a little something, something. But Indiana just kept stalling on offense. I mean, I thought they were going to go somewhere, but they couldn't quite move the ball. They would get close, but they would stall out. But their defense was giving Ohio State fits. I mean, that game ended up being 23-3, and that is not what we expected out of the Ohio State University. Uh, their quarterback fight the questions were rightfully there. It didn't seem like they had. It didn't seem like they had a clear starter. It looked like the man that they put in second did better than the first man. But time will tell as the season goes on. Stats are not impressive for either team. Like I said, Indiana was pretty pedestrian, which what they were able to do. Sorry about that. ESPN throwing ads at me. Yeah. Anyway, uh, yeah, pretty abysmal from Indiana. I had my hopes up for a second. I thought they were going to be able to do it, but they fell short. So I don't think Caleb's in here yet, but Caleb is a big South Carolina fan, and yeah, South Carolina, they didn't quite have enough juice. Didn't quite have enough juice today. They ended up getting sacked 8 times. Sacked 8 times. That's something else about the Tennessee game too. Is Tennessee ended up? Let me find that number of how many sacks they got. Because it was quite a bit. Let's see, Tennessee. They got 4 sacks on Virginia. That was a big difference maker in a big plus to their defense. Boy, North Carolina. It seems like Gene Chizik over there is getting them fucking rocking. And pardon the swearing. That is going to happen here. If you're not ready for it, hopefully now you are. I'm gonna try to. Oh, I'm gonna try to be myself, and myself is it is what you get. So as I try to get my camera to pull back up here, there we go. Quit. Anyway, let me just mute all of that. Yeah. So, what else do we got? Yeah. So, South Carolina, Caleb. I'm sorry, they didn't do that great. Let's see. Let me check the chat real quick. Did you play high school football or college football? No to high school football. I was too damn small. I was about a buck 40 and like 5'6" in high school. And everybody else grew like weeds. So I ended up working and paying for my truck and gas money and stuff. As far as college football goes, without high school football, college doesn't come, but I also went to the Marines, so there was no college football for me. Yeah. For Caleb's sake, I'm not going to harp too much on South Carolina, but it does seem that North Carolina's quarterback hype is rightfully found. They seemed about right. So, at this point, I want to lift some spirits. And for any other Georgia fan, after watching South Carolina, which is nice for us, but I kind of want to line this up. So for one more thing about South Carolina, I'm gonna refer to Antonio and get his thoughts on South Carolina against North Carolina.
What do you think, Antonio?
Oh, I love that bit. All right. So let's raise some spirits. Let's go down memory lane to a couple years ago where it seemed like our tides had finally turned. Here you go. Oh yeah, that gets me juiced. What do you think,
I like a
Kirby?
fucking dog. That's what I know.
All right. All right. So let's check right quick. Again, you'll have to excuse when ESPN jumps in with their random ads every now and again. But I just want to check the top 10 games right quick. Come on. Here we go. Let's see here. So Michigan, they ended up getting a win 30-3 against Eastern Carolina. I don't see any highlights there. Nothing too crazy. Wade, I'm gonna answer your question right quick. I seen that a little bit ago. Okay, so TCU being overrated. They're rated 17. I'm gonna say no on them being overrated. They lost a lot of talent to the NFL, um, and they didn't have much to give in the first place. They were certainly surprising to even make it last year, um, but I wouldn't say overrated. I think 17 was about right. I think that's respect given to them for what they did last year. But yeah, they didn't have enough firepower for your Buffaloes. So hey, that is what it is. Let's see any other top teams. I already covered Ohio State, Washington. Washington put it on Boise State, boys in blue, 56-19. Um, that's not extremely surprising. They've got a pretty damn good quarterback that is definitely getting drafted next year, in my opinion. Uh, it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward. Of course, we did great. Wow. Okay, so Southern Cal put it on Nevada today, 66-14. Caleb Williams went 319 yards for 5 touchdowns. The rushing attack wasn't the best. Well, at least for that rusher there. Boy, they slapped it on them. Looked like they stayed consistent the whole game, too. But it is Nevada. So grain of salt there. They struggled against San Jose State defensively, but of course held Nevada to 14 points. So we shall see in the future what that holds. Middle Tennessee versus Alabama. They got a win 56-7. They did end up starting Milrow, and he seems to have done pretty damn good. He also ran the ball quite a bit, so he seems to be a scrambler. He had 2 rushing touchdowns and 3 touchdowns in the air. So we'll be watching them next week against Texas. I'm predicting a loss there. I'll give you that right off the bat. I think that's a loss. Penn State against West Virginia. The old Mountain Mamas. Yeah, so Penn State 38, West Virginia 15. They got the win there. Don't do it, ESPN. Do not. Don't test me. They got the win there. Good for them. We still are waiting on LSU and Florida State to battle it out tomorrow night. And then Clemson on Monday. Clemson Duke. I don't have any. I think Clemson's got that handily. LSU and Florida, though, boy, if that's a toss-up, I'd like to think LSU has it. I think they're going to win the West this year. But we shall see. They should have won that last year, but I think Brian Kelly being down there and getting after it should be better. Should be better in year 2, even though they won the West last year. So we will see what that leads to. Let's see what else. I think I've hit all the top 10. If not, apologies. But yeah. So let's look ahead right quick to next week. We've got Ball State, another great game. Now, I'm gonna try to be positive, but I don't care much for these games, including the one we had today. They're not the most exciting to watch. At least this one's not behind a damn paywall. But to ESPN's credit, at least they make every SEC team have one game for streaming. So it's not singling out anybody. They're not punishing us or anything like that. It's just we got to choose a game, and this one happened to be it. Fortunately, I have ESPN Plus, but it's aggravating as a fan to have to pay extra to watch your team play football, especially as number one in the country or in this number one conference in the country. Wait, if you didn't know, the SEC has won 15 of the last 25 national championships. So, or maybe 20. 15 of the last 20. So, yeah. It's all SEC all the time. And Georgia's probably going to get 2 more. I might be a little ahead of my skis, but that's what I think. There goes ESPN again. You dirty. Anyway, let's see. Notable games next week we're going to look out for. Of course, we're going to watch Georgia. Don't care. Well, Ole Miss and Tulane. That might be interesting. We'll see how that rocks out. If all things go well for Ole Miss, it won't even be a competition. But both are ranked, granted lowly, but they're ranked as of now. Tennessee, nothing there. Alabama, I already spoke my piece on that. Boy, there seems to really only be one decent game next week. Utah and Baylor might be interesting, but I don't. Baylor's got a different coach now. I don't. They're not the same caliber. Yeah, I guess Texas and Alabama is the only real interesting game. But hey, this has been fun. We still have a couple in chat. Yeah, we still got a couple in here. What did Wade say now? Wade. Dogs. Pac-12 is 4-0. Good for them. Oh, is Nebraska playing? Who's Nebraska playing? Oh, you know what the issue is? I think this is only pulling up top 25. Yeah, it is too. All right, let's see. There might be more interesting games. Let me see here. Nope. Oh, Vanderbilt, Wake Forest. That I think Vandy can be 3-0. Hey, they got another win today. Good for them. Notre Dame, North Carolina State might be decent. Okay, yes. All right, I'll give you that, Wade. North Carolina and Colorado might be a decent game to watch. Although Nebraska, and I feel like I just said North Carolina, but Nebraska, they lost today. Wasn't or no? What was that? Thursday they lost, or was that last night? I don't. I it's Big Ten football. I don't really watch that shit. They already lost one, so it's not going to be super impressive. Wade. So, but we'll see. We'll see. That might be one to watch. That might very well be one to watch. What else we got? So no, that's South Carolina State. Never mind. Let's see here. Oh shoot! There it is. Texas A&M Miami. That is going to be interesting. Texas A&M played today. They got the win. Let me check on their game right quick. Oh, they played New Mexico. 52-10. All right, so I guess they look pretty good. Okay, very well. Texas A&M Miami. Might be one to watch. I might have to put that on the tablet. Let's see what else we got. Florida's got a cupcake game. Good for them. They need it. USC Stanford. There you go. There's your Pac-12 shit. You can watch that, Wade. Yeah. All right. So I guess there's a couple of games that I might be tuning into next week. Of course, I'm just happy to have football back. And deer season also starts in 3 days here. But my deer spot fell through, so we'll have to find a new spot. But yeah, football is back. I couldn't be happier. I don't know if I really had much else to say. I hate to do a short stream. I was hoping somebody would want to jump in here, but looks like that ain't the case. But hey, I appreciate everybody that's been here. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. I plan on doing this every week. This has been the 11 Deep podcast. Excuse me, Dawgcast. The 11 Deep Dawgcast, where we are hopefully 11 deep when this airs. So, y'all been great. I appreciate you. Y'all have a good week. Let's get ready for next week in Ball State. And go Dogs.